welcome back to Will's Workshop. This morning I am sitting at my computer desk actually, that's why all of this looks a bit different. Yesterday we had that whole fiasco where I was reshaping the core for my scabbard and the side seams popped, like all of them, or just about all of them. So then we went back in with that emergency fix with the wood glue, trying to shove the wood glue down into the seams as far as we could, and then we wrapped it like crazy with masking tape, and that is what you see right now. And honestly, I think maybe the first glue up, I just didn't have enough glue in certain sections. So when I removed all that material, there was suddenly, less glue holding it together, and it allowed the scabbard to pop open in places. Anyway, we're gonna untape this and then check and see if there are any spots where it's got clumps of glue or whatever. Then we'll lightly sand it with a hand sander and grab the sword and refit it, and hopefully this will fix it, and then we can move on to actually putting some risers on here, and then perhaps even cutting out the leather for the core. So I'm gonna get to unwrapping this thing. Might take a little while. Alright, so clearly it was a bit stickier than I thought it was going to be. So we're going to cut here while I fiddle with this some more. I imagine that's not the most exciting time-lapse ever. So I'm going to get the rest of this tape off camera. There we go. Just a few more sections to go. Okay, so all of the tape is mostly off. Hopefully you can see that on the camera there. As you can tell, there are still little bits and chunks of tape on the scabbard, and unfortunately the whole thing is a bit rougher. And it's definitely sticky. Like the whole thing is sticky. But I'm going to get the sword. We'll do a quick test fit. And then, because I'm just curious at this point if this worked or not. Especially if the seams, now that we've filled them with glue, I want to make sure those seams are going to remain closed and closed permanently. So have a second, let me grab the sword. Okay, so sword acquired. I am wearing gloves with a hole in it. I just won't touch with that because I spent about an hour this morning after taking the sword out of the scabbard. Spent about an hour cleaning the blade, so it's all oiled up and whatnot now and looking shiny and new. Ooh, look at that light. Right? Cool stuff. So, moment of truth here. And yeah, I'm nervous. Alright, so that click, that was just it sliding all the way in. I'm looking around the sides here, looking carefully at the seams, and they all appear to be holding. So I think our little emergency repair job actually worked. So that is super, super cool. Let's see if we can get up on the camera here at all. Well, I'll snap some pictures of the side here for you and post those up in the video too. Massive, disgusting tape ball. It is 1,000,000 degrees outside right now, but if I'm going to do any sanding, I don't want to do it in my apartment, so I will be heading out there eventually and getting to work on hand sanding this down so it's smooth and no longer sticky. So yeah, back in a flash. So here we are on my back porch, my workshop, and I've got a couple of sanding blocks here, and I've got the scabbard here. You can see the lines, it's all like tape residue and whatnot. But the plan is just to go over this whole thing with the sanding blocks, get it smoothed out, hopefully get the sticky tape residue off, and then that should be it. We already fitted the sword, it didn't pop, so we're just going to clean it up as best as we can and then move on to fitting some risers. Okay, so I've sanded it to the point where I think it's okay. Yes, there's still visible tape lines on here, but none of it is sticky or protruding. A little bit right here, but that stuff is easy enough to just pick off. We can do some fine tuning later. But for the most part, I'm gonna call this bad boy ready for some risers. And before I add the risers, I have to draw up my design for what I want this scabbard to look like when it's all said and done. So one last time, for my own sanity's sake, to make sure that this thing doesn't pop open on the sides again, we're gonna throw the sword in there and call it a day, assuming that it doesn't pop open. I think we've got it. That's actually incredibly satisfying. I'm very, very happy with that. Things are gonna work out. Crisis averted. We live, we learn, we continue on. I'm gonna have a scabbard soon. I do have to draw up the design, so I think I'll end this particular video here, post up my designs, and we'll get started working on those with the next video. So until then, I've been Will. You be excellent.